Give us your reaction, first of all, to what we've heard about Zaporizhzhia today. Clearly, the fact that Russia is stepping up its operation is not the best news for you.
We don't have good news since February 2022. And I can tell you, as someone who lives in the center of Kyiv, that the intensity of the attacks on Kyiv and other cities has only increased in the recent weeks. So what happens in Zaporizhzhia and in other Ukrainian cities is a disaster. It's actually genocide against Ukrainian people, Ukrainian infrastructure. Putin is always targeting not only energy infrastructure, but also civilians. It's a part of the Russian ideology, war ideology. This is, terrible routine that we got used to, but we don't want to live like that always. So we really hope that one way or another soon we will have some peace and the protection of Ukraine.
You're here in Paris. Thank you for coming in to see us. Of course, President Zelensky was here at the weekend for the reopening of Notre Dame, along with Donald Trump. Do we have any idea of what they may have spoken about, if they had time indeed to speak? Can you give us any sense of what might have happened?
Well, it's great that Paris and President Macron served as an important platform for President Trump and Zelensky to meet and to have an exchange, because we hear a lot of different plans that Trump may have. And for us, Ukrainians, it's very important that our voice is heard, that the voice of our people is heard, not only as a state, but also as our people. And I'm very grateful to President Macron, who understands that that's important to have a very joint, strong position on what do we do about the future of Europe, security, altogether. So I hope that Trump hears that. And from all the messages that we hear from his communication with the media, it looks quite good that he has all these messages heard and that he has his will to end the war. And he is very careful with that, which is something that I personally really like. Like, he's not throwing away different phrases, He's being very careful, and he wants to be committed to the idea that he wants Putin now to act to end the war. And he sends very clear signal to Russia now. But we need to keep pushing, not to be hoping that United States will be doing it, only them, not us. We have to be pushing, all of us.
It must be difficult for you to envisage a possibility of trusting Vladimir Putin to act in some faithful way to honor some kind of agreement to end a war.
Exactly. We don't trust him. And we know that we shouldn't be naive. And we are scared, and we're trying to repeat all the time to all people in other countries, including France, that let's not be naive. Putin cannot be trusted. So if he says anything, it means that tomorrow he can change his mind and he can lie. It's a part of his, it's normal for him. So we need to be building a force of security that would be the language that Putin will understand. Even if there is a peace, we shouldn't exclude the possibility that Russia will attack again, because we know, and we are fighting what we are fighting for. We fight for the future without war. And we don't want to have the postponement of certain resolution. We want to have a solution for the future, that we will not have war, that Russia will not be having capacities, war capacities to run this aggression. And the world and the West will be strong enough and not naive, and that there will be leadership in different countries. But it needs a lot of cooperation. And we know that the situation in different countries is shaky now. And it's very sensitive moment now, and we need to be very strong and keep fighting for what we believe in.
I wanted to ask you about NATO, about the EU, but can I ask you first about Syria, the situation there? You mentioned countries where things are shaky. There is talk, perhaps, of some sort of deal between Turkey and Russia over Syria, which may involve something involving Ukraine too. I'm not quite sure what the angles might be there. Do you have any sense about what could be achieved with a sort of compromise on that area?
Well, first of all, things that are happening now in Syria are, I would say, only small and possible good news that are happening in the world, because the world is crazy, and things that are happening in Syria are giving lots of optimism. I really wish the Syrian people that they succeed in protecting their country with democracy, without repressions. What does it signal to us, what happened in Syria? It signals that Russia doesn't have so much strong influence over that region anymore. And not only, I think it's a very positive signal. It means that dictators can be broken at a certain stage. And it's a very important rule to remember that no matter how much you abuse the power as being dictator, you never end in peace. You always end up by being killed or flooding the country, and there is always tragedy around the personality of a dictatorship. So Assad is not having his regime anymore. It's a huge signal to many regimes that are around the world that have dictatorships, that they cannot continue for a very long time. And I really hope that Syria will be strong, and I really hope that there could be a geopolitical shift there, and that Russia doesn't control that area anymore. And that means quite a lot. It means a lot of influence of Russia in that region is gone. It means that Russia is more open to compromise. Very interesting, but we shouldn't celebrate it too early. As Indeed. I said, we need to keep fighting, because just the changing of the regime doesn't mean the success. It needs a lot of work. And again, international cooperation is very important, because if we just celebrate that Assad is gone, it's not enough.
The people of Ukraine since February 2022 have proven how brave and how courageous they are. I think nobody would have envisaged what happened so quickly in terms of how Ukraine was able to push back the Russian aggression when the invasion happened. Putin said it would be over in 72 hours. It's still going on right now. I'm wondering what kind of state of mind are Ukrainian people in right now? I know you can't talk for everybody, but can you give us a sense of how people feel there? There must be immense fatigue, immense, I don't know, people being worn down by this war.
I can talk on my behalf, and I can talk on behalf of Ukrainian people. We are very tired. The life that we go through and we see every day is hard to imagine. It includes killings every day. It includes no electricity, no light. It includes absolutely no control over your life. There is so much uncertainty. You cannot plan anything, starting from when you bring your children to the school, ending with what is going to happen in your future, because everything is not working, all logistics. But for us, this war is very existential. This war means that someone wants to kill us, and we want to live. We want to preserve our country. So if we make any compromises against our life, we know that we will not be free. And freedom is something that is very important to our nation, to our society. We've been on the streets fighting for freedom many times. In my life, I had 2 revolutions on the streets already. And I find it very inspiring, because we are the people, no matter how tired we are, we know what we want. We want freedom. And we know that Putin is evil, and Putin doesn't carry the value of freedom. And that's not only words, it's very existential sense of it. So we want to have ability to breathe in freedom without missiles every day. You know, every night in Kiev and other Ukrainian cities are going through hours of attacks. And you never know whether this missile or drone is reaching your window or no. But we keep fighting because we know that Putin wants to exhaust us. He wants to have us weak. He wants to have us in a shape that we will just collapse. And we don't want to allow him to be happy about that.
Lisa Yasko, thank you for joining us here at France24. We appreciate you taking the time to come and see us. Member of the Ukrainian Parliament, part of President Zelensky's Servant of the People Party. Thank you for joining us, and good luck going forward. We hope that things turn out the way that you describe. Obviously, peace for everybody would be the ultimate solution. Thank you, Lisa Yasko, for joining us here at France24.